Well. So you're back again. My name is Garrett J. White, host of Wake Up Warrior TV and founder of Wake Up Warrior, as well as the insane, diabolical lunatic behind the art and the science we call Warrior Week and the Warrior Book and Warrior X, and well, shit, a whole lot of fucking men around the world who have joined us in our brotherhood from 17 different countries, committed to one soul calling inside their life, and that is to wake up and to ultimately be the man, defined how we define it here at Wake Up Warrior in a modern game, and ultimately live what we call the Warrior's Way lifestyle, which is the ability to have it all in body, being, balance, and business. So if you're new here to this show, we welcome you here to Wake Up TV, Wake Up Warrior TV. It's going to get spicy today. We got a topic that is that's a little spicy. It doesn't have anything to do with pancakes, but I did eat pancakes before today's show. And I always like to eat pancakes before a very sensitive topic. For some reason, pancakes mellow me out. Some women eat chocolate. I, as a man, eat pancakes. And the topic today is porn, power, and the conversation of production. Now, like we do every week, because people ask me, well, Garrett, is this live? Because you guys and your teams, you're creating some really cool live streamed shows here, but is it actually live? Well, I like to come here and we like to welcome out some of our guests. So we're going to actually log into the old Facebook. We're going to come over here to the fan page. We're going to go straight to the live stream. Look, there I am, notified right now that we're actually live. I love the fact that technology gives us the ability here to have this conversation. I'm going to click here. We're going to pull this up and we're going to welcome some of our guests here on the show today and individuals who are live. So if you are live, go ahead and chat it out and let me know you're here, and I will say hello to you. And also at the end of today's show, we will also be doing a question and answer session. But let's get this started off right out of the gate. Let me kill the volume on this. Ross Goldberg, your show has become a healthy addiction for me. Much love to you and your family, brother. Hey, Ross, you know what? Ross, thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here on the show. It's become a healthy addiction for me, too, as well as eating pancakes before the show has also become a healthy addiction. Kyle Taylor, love this. Helps me every day. Brian Edwards, that's a lot of emojis, bro. Thumbs up, knuckle, flexing arm. Matthew P. Grizzle, good morning, coach. Fabian Rubel, how are you doing, coach? Brian Edwards, live. Sherry, our first woman brave enough to make a post here on the porn topic today. Sherry, hello. Luis Garcia, what's up, my friend? Michael Vecchio. Donnie Jackson, live stream of live stream on a live stream. Nice. It's fancy, right? Carlos Gonzalez, Garrett, you are so totally transparent. Love Mondays at 12 noon. You're welcome, my friend. We're going to get transparent about pancakes, porn, and a few other powerful topics today. Tony Dillard wouldn't miss it. Sherry, love your lessons. Orest, K-Man, love this. Jorge Navarro, looking badass, respect. Keep going because I keep going because of you. Michael Nichols, loves pancakes. Well, Michael, that makes two of us. You and me and the pancakes. Dan Powers, ready to learn. Sean Duty. Boom. Brian LeConte, GJW, Michael Vecchio, first time for me. Dustin Wilkes, never questioned my porn addiction until I watched you back in January of 2014. You know, the crazy thing is, Dustin, most men don't ever look at porn as a problem either. And I'm going to have you consider today, as we dive into this topic, that porn isn't necessarily the problem. But with that being said, my friends, welcome. As we leave the interaction here, I will come back to you on this conversation here in a bit. But let's get this show started off every single week like we do every single week with a little spicy dicey movie of my right-hand man, the terrorist himself, Sam Falsafi.
When you walk in a room and you have nothing to hide, you're the single most motherfucking power guy in that room.
Welcome back. So we're going to jump into this conversation. We're going to get serious with it. And I know when I realize I'm going to put this out there, before we get started. I'm going to talk to you straight as I possibly can. If you've watched any of the episodes we've done here, if you're part of anything we do in the Wake Up Warrior movement, this is always brought to you by a movement of men. I'm not some fucking guru. I'm not some therapist. I don't have any licenses. I simply share topics that have been my experience. My wife even said this morning as she was standing in the restroom in our bathroom. She was getting ready. I was getting ready. I'd already dropped the kids off at school. I'd walked 5 miles already with my buddy with 50-pound rucksacks on and weighted vests, and we'd talked about all kinds of stuff, and then I'd worked out, and then I did the whole morning routine. And I asked my wife, I said, listen, I'm talking about a topic today. She said, what's the topic? And I said, porn, power, and production. And she's like, okay. And I asked her for some of her insight on this, and she said, listen, be tasteful. Be tasteful. And I said, listen, there's the version of tasteful that most people deal with, and there's a version of tasteful that I deal with. I hope by the time we're done today that you're able to have a different perspective on this conversation of porn. And if you're a woman that happens to be watching this, or you're watching this because your man invited you to watch it with him, I hope that this gives you some insights into the mind how a lot of men operate. And on the flip side, if you're a man watching this show, that this show itself, brought to you again by Wake Up Warrior, that we're able to help you see that possibly not playing alone, that this bullshit of being taught that you should play alone, that you should experience even the conversation of porn alone, because this shit lives in the dark and it lives in the secrets that we don't say. It lives in the place that we choose not to play. It lives in a way when we choose not to live the warrior's way. And so I'm not here to attack anybody in this episode. But what I am here to do is have a fucking conversation, and people are not having it at church. They're not having online. They're not having with their parents. We're not having it with their kids. They're not having it with their spouse. They're not having it even with themselves. They're turning a blind eye. I'm deaf, I'm blind, I'm dumb. I don't really know what's happening, yet my fucking life is not working. And porn has destroyed more marriages and confused more men than just about any single piece inside of technology. And our cell phones are beautiful, but they are also the portal to this place called the land of an answer to a problem that nobody actually wants to fucking talk about. So what is that problem? That problem started asking here, and if you haven't seen the systematic sedation of men in episode number 4, I would encourage you to go back and watch that show. I spent an entire hour outlining literally the systematic 100-year systematic sedation of men like you and I. Why technology itself has actually birthed us into a place, and our society has taught men to be. Before they even came out of the vaginal canal, a man today had no fucking chance. No chance to see anything. No chance to experience life truly for what it could be. There was just the layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of stories and teachings and trainings and educations by people who ultimately couldn't actually see. You know what happens after 100 years? 100 years when generation after generation continue to layer upon layer upon layer upon layer the bullshit, what you have is a life that doesn't fucking make sense anymore. And in that life, going to porn every day and masturbating instead of connecting with your wife, that makes sense. And that's the hardest part about it. Is that our lives make sense inside of this story that we tell. And we tell the story so fucking many times that we actually start to believe the story and we think the story is true. And pretty quickly, this idea of being the man, which has become such a confusing conversation because our society has taught men, here's what it means to be a man. It says, get the money at all costs. This is your first and primary responsibility. Get paid. That's it. Get paid. Second, ignore your feelings. Don't talk about how you're feeling. Definitely don't talk about your sexual feelings because we don't want to hear about it. And ladies, you haven't made it any easier on guys. Men are not given permission to talk about the true energy that flows through us. On the one side, you say, go get the fucking money. The part you don't understand is to go get the fucking money requires the same energy that drives the desire to penetrate a vagina with a penis. This sexual drive that is in a man is the same thing that creates procreation and creation. They're the same coin. You flip it over, you create shit. You flip it over, you procreate. So don't be surprised when your man starts to produce and the next thing he wants to do is he wants to get laid. But this is a problem because we live in a society in which men can't talk about this shit. They can't talk about it with their buddies, let alone talk about it with their wife. It's not safe. And men aren't trained in how to use the language to do it. The third piece, we don't need you. Listen, bro, listen. We don't actually need you. The feminist movement, which has become feminism, the feminazi revolution of women who've said, listen, I've got as big of balls as you do, my man. I don't even need you. I don't even need you. Legitimately, go get paid, shut the fuck up about your feelings, and guess what? I don't need you. And And inside of this, what we have is a society of men who are all alone. And you know what men who are all alone do? They do shit that doesn't make sense when they were with their brothers. They do shit that doesn't make sense in the dark, but in the dark it actually makes sense. This has led us to our conversation of porn. What is porn really? Right? Porn is individuals coming together on video and having sex. All kinds of crazy sex. You can go online right now with a cell phone and find just about any version of sex you want. Gay sex, straight sex, animal sex, kid sex. It's fucking disgusting. I get it. But nonetheless, it's available, and it's not getting smaller. The amount available is not going down, and the accessibility. When I was a kid growing up, when I was a teenager, the best version of porn we had was somebody's dad who had stacked up Playboys, and on the flip side, maybe we could find ourselves a bra ad inside of a magazine or inside of a newspaper. Nowadays, my 17-year-old son, who tells me the direct truth about this shit, talks about what actually goes on with girls texting naked pictures of themselves to these boys in high school. Boys, the ones proliferating it, asking for these pictures. And now you got kids on their phones, boys, with full nude photos of 40 to 50 girls in their high school. We watch this happening younger and younger and younger. And older men have been affected just like the younger men. And inside of it, what are people saying? Porn is bad. I'm going to have you consider porn is not bad. Because we keep looking at the wrong thing. We have to ask ourselves the question, why would a man go to porn? Why would a man look at his hand and say, this hand and my cell phone equal connection? Why would a married man who has one hand, maybe two, maybe lost a hand, maybe has no hands, he uses his feet. That's a fucking circus right there. I'm not sure he'd pull that shit off. But nonetheless, I got one hand, I got two hands, I got some lotion. Maybe you don't even go with the lotion. You're like, I don't even give a shit about the lotion. You just spit on it. And you're like, I'm going to go to the porn and I'm going to handle myself. Why is it that men have been taught that this makes sense? And why did I go there? Why did I go there? Not just a little bit. Why did I go through phases of shitloads of it multiple times a day? Why did I randomly out of nowhere at 3 o'clock in the afternoon be like, you know what I should do? I should look at some porn because I'm tired. Why did I find myself in positions where instead of confronting conversation with my wife, I would ignore my wife, disappear into the bathroom, look at porn on my cell phone, masturbate, and then hope that my marriage would turn out? Right? There was patterns inside of this, but everyone was looking at me, quote unquote, when I would try to talk about it like I was a bad guy, but nobody was asking the real question. What was it I was searching for? Why are men going to porn? Why is this happening? Why am I and you and men, why is it reality? Reality for a second. Reality. I had a friend of mine asked by my ex-wife one time, said, listen, my ex-wife asked me, said, do guys, all guys masturbate? He's a big guy, football player. I was playing with 6'6", 320 pounds lineman. He's sitting there, he's got his big arms over his plate. We're sitting at dinner. These are the kind of conversations that have always come up for me because I'm just fascinated by truth and what is real, not what is unreal. And we're sitting in that place and he's all over his food and he stops eating for a second after she asks a question. He looks up like this and he goes, Christy, which was named my ex-wife, Christy, there's only two kinds of liars in this world. Those men who say they never have, those men who say they never will again. Yes, ladies, your man masturbates. It ain't going to ever end. It will happen until he dies. There are a handful of men that could probably count on this hand on the planet that don't or haven't or won't ever masturbate. It is a fact. Now, you can do what you want with that truth. Married men going to porn while hiding behind suits. Why the fuck is this happening? I'm going to have to consider they are searching for the same thing. They're searching for power. And in today's show, I'm going to prove to you that they're going to porn to find the power. They just don't understand that going to the porn to find the power is a temporary game of power. It won't ultimately, ideally, for long term, it will not serve, it will not create the game that they're looking for. That the power they're searching for can't be found inside of porn, just like I found it couldn't be found inside of porn. And there were the destructive side effects of this that were destroying me, destroying my marriage, and destroying Then Todd is go get paid. Go get paid. Go get the money. Shut the fuck up about your feelings. We don't need you. And you're all alone. And a man inside of that place will do whatever is necessary to continue to hit at least the thing he knows how to measure. Did I make some money? And if that means I got to go to porn to sustain myself because I don't know how to communicate at home, or because I can't be honest about my feelings, and when I am, I'm rejected, I am told no, and I'm told I'm bad, well, guess what? That leads a man down a path that hopefully today we can turn around a little bit. This is also why we built the experience known as Warrior Week.
Gentlemen, we live by code here. That code itself is life. That code itself is life. If you violate the code, you die. If you violate the code, you fucking die. The code is simple. You can boil it down to one principle. Stop fucking lying. Stop lying to yourself about where you are. Stop lying to yourself about what you want. Stop lying to yourself about where you want to go. It is a double-edged sword. Both the lies of denying your desire for a life that you truly want, and number two, lying about where you are. Right now, you are wet. You are laying in a beach in a strange place that you do not know because you were transported here with the hood on. No one knows where you are. Your wife and children do not know where you are. You don't even fucking know where you are. You can do nothing about those circumstances. The only way you can help them is to help yourself. If the king doesn't rise, the kingdom dies. If the king doesn't rise, the kingdom dies. The minute those men on your unit decide to actually show me that they give a fuck, not just in words, oh Garrett, I want to have it all. Garrett, I'm going to tell the truth. Garrett, I'm going to live by the code. Garrett, I want to live for my wife, my children, and my legacy. I want to have it all. Bullshit. Shut your fucking mouth and show me. Men don't trust me because of how I talk. They trust me because of how I fucking walk. And I've never asked a man here to do anything I have not done. Look. Huddle up and look at each other. Huddle up and look at each other. Better. Better.
So here was the hardest part. The hardest part about porn was that porn only added to my confusion. Like it only added to my confusion. So I struggled with this ability to be honest. And people will use that as an excuse to throw me under the fucking bus. And I get it. That when I'm real, when I share what's going on, what I've found is that the people who are most upset about me being real about what I've experienced in my life are the people who are actually hiding the most. I was running an event here a number of years ago, and there was a man who got up and he was sharing in the front, and he was talking about his porn addiction. And he's like, man, I've been looking at porn like twice a day. Like, I've got 4 kids. I don't know how to stop this shit. He's like, my wife and I are not having sex, and now it's gotten to the point that we're not even having sex because, like, it's all weird now because now my mind's, like, all confused, and he's sharing all this stuff. And there's this guy in the front row who's, like, judging the shit out of him. And I'm watching this thing happen, and he keeps raising his hand, and he just happens to be a pastor of a church, and he's sitting in the front row, and he's kind of gets combative with this guy that's being super fucking real, sitting up there talking about his own confusion with porn. And I'm sitting in the back, and I come up, and I tolerate it for a second, and then I come up in the front, and I said, I looked at this man, this pastor in the front row, and I said, so let me ask you a question. He's like, what's that? And I said, how long have you been looking at porn weekly? And he was like frozen, like these eyes, and everybody in the room freezes. And I was like, I'm not fucking around. Like, you look at porn. I'm just asking how much you look at porn. Because as much as you're persecuting this guy right now and throwing out your fucking Bible quotes, this is all a cover-up. It's all bullshit. Why don't you fucking be honest with me? How often are you looking at porn and jerking off? Tell me the goddamn truth or get the fuck out of my room. And he sat there quiet. He looked down, tears start to well, and for the first time, he experiences clarity. He experiences clarity. I was confused, brother. I don't know about you, but I was confused. Nobody gave me a handbook on how to do this marriage thing. Nobody gave me a handbook on how to deal with the chaos that has become this confusion age that you and I live in. It's not the information age anymore. It's a confusion age. Every second of the day, you can be entertained, titillated, tantalized, and seduced to look at false examples of what it is to be in power. From music videos to halftime shows of the Super Bowl, everything around the man is saying sex, 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 sex. Boobs, vagina, penis, vagina, boobs, vagina, penis, vagina, over and over and over. And then, all the stimulation, and then men are told to shut the fuck up. And if you actually talk about how you're feeling to your wife, hey, just so you know, I'm super turned on today. I'm real horny right now. I've been hunting. I've been creating some really big shit. I know that you wanted us to hit these targets for the family financially. I've been producing. I've been under a lot of pressure. And babe, I know that you need some time to connect. I know that that's the truth, but right now I need you to understand my mind just wants to fuck. I don't know how to deal with it any other way. And so what ends up happening is men create this side outlet. And they'll go to porn. They'll go to porn so they don't have to actually unleash on the queen. And that the crazy part is women will get mad at men for going to porn, yet many men are going to porn in order to avoid the collision with the queen because they're in the I just want to fuck mode. Which is driven by the fact that the same woman they're married to, he's trying to please by cracking the whip to go produce and make the money. So go make the money. By the way, this takes deep sexual energy to pull this shit off. Powerful men, that's why you watch pastors, politicians, businessmen at the top, big time people players. Doing what? Cheating, strip clubs, drug addictions. Why? The pressure at the top is insane. And one of the energies that comes along with that power is sexual need, sexual drive. The only men that don't have it are men who have what? Completely shut the fuck down. So this confusion age, birth then, the only solution that I could imagine, it was the last place I was left. It was the same place this pastor was left with in the front row of my event. When he finally confronted the reality of what was going on, and he looked up from the ground, and he looked at all of us, and he's like, man, he's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry. Man, I've been struggling with it for years. I was like, no shit, dude. I was like, and I can only imagine that running a congregation the size you run, that's a lot of fucking pressure. That's a lot of pressure. There's a pastor back east who pulled out a Glock and shot himself in the mouth, right here in the mouth, bullet barrel in the mouth, shot himself, killed himself in his office. Good friends with one of our warrior brothers. And my warrior brother messaged me and he said, if we could only got this guy to Warrior Week. He was under so much pressure and he couldn't tell the truth. And so we started to search for this answer, and I knew that I couldn't sustain anymore. Porn was destroying my mind. Like literally it was destroying my mind. It was destroying even the sex I was having with my wife. It was destroying me. It wasn't empowering me. Because it wasn't just a, hey, I went to porn once every couple months. It was becoming a daily occurrence. It was so easily accessible to just click an immediate gratification. And what was the opposite time for me? The opposite was for me to go back to the rejection. At the end of the day, I just wanted to be with my wife. Like, I didn't want to watch some random couple having sex in some random fucking room, in some random place, any more interested than I was going to a strip club. I wanted to come home and feel that power. I wanted to feel that connection. I wanted to go hunt and then come home and be able to bond with my wife. But ladies, man, you don't make it easy on us. And I'm not saying you should. But a man's not been given a roadmap on how to deal with this shit. And so he goes out and he produces. And he comes home and he wants to connect. He doesn't know how to bring it up. And so it comes across as an asshole. And a man can only take so much rejection at home before he says, fuck you. And you know what the solution becomes? It's not divorce right away. You know what the solution becomes? It becomes porn. Because, see, at least there I can avoid the war. At least there I could avoid the war. And so I came to my wife under living by what we call in Warrior the code. The code. And the code was really simple. The code said this. It said the first step in the code was to be real. I woke up and realized that my entire life was fucking not working because I couldn't tell the truth. And in this case, I couldn't tell the truth about the pressure. I've had to be like, it's okay, I'm all right, it's no problem. Now, maybe for the guy working at the gas station on the night shift, I don't know what your world's like because I've never done that. But I know what it's like to have payroll of multiple hundred thousands of dollars every 2 weeks. I know what it's like to have a wife who expects big shit from you as a man at home with the kids and her, and then has no comprehension of the pressure I fucking face on a daily basis as a producer. And then I come home and I'm supposed to just shut it all off. I'm supposed to pretend like I don't feel what I feel. And so what did I do? I would go to masturbation and porn, and then I would take 2 shots of tequila. And then in that place, the sexual energy was gone. I was at least able to sort of be present, but I wasn't really there. And so I started telling the truth, and I said, listen, here's where the fuck I really am. And I quit lying. I quit lying to my wife. I quit lying to anybody. I just quit lying about the topic. I started telling my wife, I said, listen, 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either number 1, we're going to figure this out, or number 2, I'm going to go to porn. And I don't want to go to porn. I don't want to go to porn. Masturbation is not my master plan. That's not what I want. What I want is you, woman. What I want is you, but we got a decade of bullshit between the 2 of us, and I don't know how to fucking fix that. To all my single guys with the Tinder and the Bumble, this message isn't even for you. See, as a single man, it's a totally different plan. In today's society, you can run rampant, do whatever you want. I'm talking to a married man who has decided to be captive, who's saying, listen, I'm a captive agent here in this relationship. I'm going to stay here, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to shut the doors on any other option, which means to a man, the hardest thing is the fact that one thing that he actually wants to feel, he has no control over. Because at the end of the day, most women play it like cards. Well, if you're a good boy, here you go. Here's some fucking cards. And at least that's a story we create. And it's a story I created. And so the only thing I knew was I just was too exhausted to keep the show up. I was like, I can't fucking keep pretending like everything's okay. I can't keep pretending like this is not happening. I'm looking at porn. I'm masturbating. I'm having all kinds of thoughts about all kinds of other women. Babe, God damn it! I want to think about you, but I don't know how to deal with all this fucking rejection. I don't know how to be the fucking man you're asking me to be. Crazy enough, that started a shift. I wasn't blaming her. It was as much on her as it was on me. A decade of rejection, me being a liar and not telling her how I was feeling. You blend those 2 together, and when I wouldn't tell her how I was feeling, I would distance myself from her. I would move away from her. I would leave her in a place where she felt all alone. And so, of course, the last thing she wanted to do was touch me. I had become nothing more than an ATM. And then when I stopped being able to be an ATM even, what was the fucking point of me in her life? While Warrior Week is created for businessmen, Warrior X was created for every man. And it is the crucible over 36 hours that allows a man to just access the power to tell the truth.
everything else mattered beside this fight. Today, you are here to fight for that why. This is why I am here. This is why Coach Steve is here. This is why Coach Michael is here. But you will go to battle, many battles. Tonight, you'll discover who you are.
I had to deal with the facts. One of the hardest conversations to deal with on a day-to-day basis are the facts. The facts? The fact was I didn't know how to be the man with my wife. The fact was I didn't know what being the man meant. The fact was I was looking at porn. The fact was I was using it as a mechanism of sedation for the stress I felt as a man. The fact was, yes, I would look at other women having sex and giving blowjobs to other men, and this would turn my brain on, and I would release. And then immediately afterwards, shut it off and try to operate, trying to pretend. But I had to be real about that. I had to tell the facts. This is step one. Step two. Step two is you got to get raw. I had to tell the truth about my feelings. Like I had to tell the truth about what it felt like to be a man married to such a beautiful woman and yet have myself constantly rejected when I touched her, when I would try to hold her, when I would try to kiss her, when I would try to make a move. She'd say, be the man, but I had a decade of history of being rejected as the man. Make an approach, rejection. Make an approach, rejection. A man can only stand so much fucking rejection before he's like, dude, I get it. I'm tired of fighting this fight. Easier to go to porn. And I had to be real about what that felt like. I had to tell her what it felt like. Babe, this is what it feels like to be me in this place. I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you, but I am here in this relationship with you, and this is what I'm feeling. These feelings birthed then the ability for me to come to the third principle of the code, which is to stay relevant. What did I actually want? I remember sitting on a bench with my wife on date night, and I looked at her and I said, babe, listen, at the end of the day, I want you to understand, when I get sexually triggered, when I'm under tons amount of pressure and stress, I don't want to think about another woman. See, what happens in a man's mind with porn is that he gets content loaded up into his brain. Gentlemen, you get this. Porn gets loaded up into the brain, and you got content. Now, you can use that content for all kinds of things. You get stimulated sexually, that content replays itself. Some of you guys got content from 10, 20 years ago that still rolls up in your mind. Right? Videos, pictures, images, pornographic that you've seen, and it loads up in your mind. And when you get triggered sexually, that content loads itself up. And I told my wife, I was like, I want you to be my content. I don't want to think about another woman. I want to think about you. Here is what I want. Now, we were a long way from pulling that shit off. But I can tell you right now, what I also wanted is I wanted to be able to produce and not have to go to porn to release that power. I didn't want to have to go from production in the workplace and in the business space and then transition to home and have to turn that power down. I wanted to figure out how to get on the same page with her. I didn't know how to pull that off. The fourth piece in this was I had to be committed to some results. So my wife and I had to start creating results. This brought about therapy. Couples therapy, sex therapy, individual therapy. We started going to therapy over and over and over again, trying to figure out how we're going to put this, how we're going to put ourselves on the same page. We got over 13 years together, 14 years this year. How are we going to put things together? My wife and I are about to go down to our favorite place in Cabo Pedregal, to this resort, and we're going to have a blast in a couple days. This will be the second time we've gone there. In our sexual experience, and emotional experience, and our spiritual experience, I'm not looking forward to some big holiday so I can have sex because shit changed in my marriage, including my craving for porn, the way that I used to crave it, including my desire to look at random women fucking so that I could feel fulfilled and release the stressful energy that I was feeling. My wife has become the content, but it required me to stay focused on this, results. But not just results in me, results for us. Results for us. She had to clearly understand how I was feeling, that I was not some strange weirdo who had these sexual feelings, that high-powered men, driven to build big shit, all feel it, whether they're loud like me on the outside or whether they're loud on the inside. You know what I'm talking about, gentlemen? Some of you guys look at me, you're like, man, I wished I had the balls to yell out loud like this guy does. You're even more fucked than I am.
Because at least I got to yell about shit. You, on the other hand, you keep it all in. You keep gutting that. Just like my friends chewing back in the day. Chewing, gutting it. I'm like, dude, you got a super powerful stomach. I'm not sure how you gut all this nicotine all the time. You gut it. You gut the feelings. You don't get them out. And when you don't get them out, you have no idea what the results are that you're actually chasing. And so we brought about this formula called the code. To be real, tell the facts. Get raw. Find out what you actually feel and talk about it. Stay relevant, which is what do you actually want. And then the only thing that matters is results. I wanted a marriage where I could feel this gap that we had between us, that it ended. I wanted to be able to go produce all in as a man in business and not feel like I would have to come home and turn all that power down. I wanted to find a way that my wife and I could communicate sexually, emotionally, and spiritually, that she could become my wingman. Because here's what I'll tell you, gentlemen. You've never been more powerful in your life and business. Never. You've never made bigger negotiating moves in your life. You've never closed bigger business in your entire life. You've never been more fucking bulletproof than when the night before you went to go to war, you and your wife made love. No porn, no masturbation. It was her hand on your penis. It was her breast in your mouth. It was you two connected and kissing. It was you two as a married couple. 10 years under your belt. 4 kids asleep upstairs. Making love like you had just met. And then falling asleep and waking up the next morning going, and the only thought of the day is, hunt! Hunt! Produce! Build! Create! With what? A knowledge that the distraction of the porn and the bullshit triggers around you on a day-to-day basis are gone. Because you have content and you're full. You're full. Ladies, you want your man to produce? Treat him like a man. Gentlemen, you want to produce like crazy? You fucking figure out how to seduce the queen. The code itself is the first step. You don't pull the code off, which is why Warrior X exists, is the ability to help men find that power. For some men, it's just too scary. The depth of the stories are too deep. So we built Warrior X as this crucible to help men break through the bullshit, but to not do it alone. So we look at this idea of results then, and we say, okay, well, what exactly are the results that I need? What are the results that I'm looking for? And I started asking myself this. I was like, well, is the result that I'm actually looking for, is it sex? You know, I have sex. My wife and I probably have sex maybe twice a week. We average probably every 5 days. To some, that's not very much. To some, that's a lot. It's wonderful for us. I work my ass off. She works too. We have beautiful children. We have dogs. We got life. We got a lot of shit going on. I don't feel inadequate in that place at all. I feel wonderful about it. But it took a lot of time getting clear on what I actually wanted. What was it that I actually wanted? And inside of that, also, where was I losing power that was not allowing me to get what I wanted? This was why we understood the core. The code became the foundation, and the core became a focus of creating results harmoniously day in and day out across 4 domains. I never recognized as a big producer that my life was actually affected by more in my production game than just did I have sex or connect with the queen last night. It was more than did I just feel less guilt about missing my kid's soccer game or not spending time with my children. That there was this whole world that existed to empower me, and I had control of it. The first area I had control of was my body. Some of you gentlemen have let your bodies go. You have bought into this bullshit story about this celebrity story of the dad bod that some group tried to make cool for a while. Listen, nothing more disturbing to me than a man who has a wife, who is in better shape than he is, who has 3 to 4 children. He's like, dude, I can't do it, particularly when you're like in your 30s. And I'm like, bro, you are a fat ass. What the fuck's wrong with you? Your wife had 4 kids and you are out of shape as hell. Gentlemen, some of you do not take care of your bodies. You want to get laid, you want to be powerful, but you're turning your wife off. Why? Because you don't take care of yourself. You don't. On the flip side, we don't just deal with the body as a way to help us be more sexually attractive. Your body is the vehicle through which you produce and do power. This show doesn't exist if I can't harness power. This morning, 5-mile ruck, 20-minute workout, green smoothie, supplements, taking care of my body actually allows the desire for porn to go down. Green smoothies, I have the cravings go down. Working out and feeling powerful takes the desire and the craving down, which points the focus of what you actually want. Second piece was being. This being my actual spiritual calling. Why does a man today go to porn? Why does a man get distracted? Why does a man not create even if he's living by the code? Because he's losing power and a sense of purpose. Nothing more disappointing, disheartening, or frustrating for a man than feeling no purpose in his life. Being is a connection to a voice, to a God of whatever your understanding is that calls you forward. This same being, through meditation and through study and journal, allows a man to go to a higher place, a place that actually transcends the short-term addiction that may exist for porn. There's only so much you can get, so much power available to you in releasing through masturbation and porn. It's temporary. It's like Red Bull. You fucking drink it, you're pumped for a second, but then you're going to hit a crashing low again. Being allows you through meditation, allows you through contemplation about purpose in your life, allows you through study and understanding about yourself through tools we call the Warrior Stack, to actually begin to what? To bring yourself above the craving. Porn doesn't become the game. It doesn't even make sense. You're like, why the fuck would I go to porn right now? I'm going to porn right now. I'm going to go home. I'm going to wrap my wife up. I'm going to hug her. I'm going to kiss her. I'm going to spend time with my kids. I'm going to get in bed early. I'm going to make sure my wife got help her with the dish and clean some shit up. I'm going to sit down and talk for 15 minutes about her day. I'm going to make sure by 8:30 everything is locked down on silent. I'm going to put the dogs out. And then I'm going to sit down on the couch by her. I'm going to put my hand on her leg. I'm going to connect with this woman because at the end of the day, I want to have sex with my wife. Not sex with my fantasy and my mind and my right hand. Next, balance. Daily deposits. Daily deposits. Gentlemen, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. A lot of the reason why we use porn is because we're feeling guilty. We use porn because we're feeling stressed out. We're feeling stressed out because we're trying to produce. And inside of that desire to produce, we're ignoring our family. And then we come home with all this power, we want to connect, but we feel guilty because we realize we've been out producing, we ignored the family. So then we go out and we come home, we're like, shit. So we don't do it again. We don't deposit. We don't have a straight conversation. I looked at my wife straight in the face yesterday. I said, babe, I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm stressed, just so you know. The thing that just happened was the straw that broke the camel's back. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with me, but I'm fucking pissed right now. Furious. It's not going to be good if we keep having a conversation. I got to end this conversation right now. She's like, okay. In the past, I would either sedate or I would ignore. The relationship you have with your children and your wife affects your ability to produce. The ability to connect inside of being to God and to purpose affects your ability to produce. Your body affects your ability to produce. When your body, your being, and your balance are lined up, your business becomes fun. Business should be fun. Making money is fun. People think that capitalism is a bad thing. Capitalism is what makes this world work. People are like, we should all love each other. Well, good luck with your loving, oil-rubbing conversation. At the end of the day, it's businessmen and entrepreneurs that drive this fucking planet. So huge shout out to all you businessmen, because guess what? Not only were you a man who was taught what you were taught, but then you were also committed enough to pay the price and the painful sacrifice to build a business, to create jobs, to create movement in the economy. The government doesn't have shit without producers. The government can't change things. The government implements policies that support the people who actually fucking create jobs. Entrepreneurs, businessmen create jobs. Businessmen create shifts in the economy. Businessmen change the game. And so for all of my little sign protesters who want to protest capitalism and businessmen, you don't know the first thing about fucking stress. Try being the one that has 1,000 people on your payroll, 1,000 families, while you sit trying to figure out if you're going to play Call of Duty tonight after you get off at the Circle K. Fuck off. Without us, you have no fucking job.
Now, I wasn't anticipating going there, but there's a few of you who need to hear this, gentlemen. I feel you, man. It's one thing to be a normal man. It's another thing to be a businessman. This is why we built Warrior Week. Because I get you, bro. Everything's hyper accelerated for men like you and me. Normal men, hard enough. Businessmen, it's fucking suicide mission if you try to do this alone. But to all the men, we knew there had to be a way to bring this doctrine to you. Businessman, every man, was through the powerful tool we call the Warrior Book.
To me, what the Warrior Book is, it's a masterstroke. It's a work of art. It's a gift of life, really. It's a gift for you to be able to create the life that you want, in full control, not reliant on anybody else, but reliant on the only person that matters, and that's you. So for anybody who's thinking about joining Warrior, I would say, what the hell are you waiting for? This is your opportunity to create your ideal life. This is an opportunity to seriously send your life off in a whole new trajectory. So if you're somebody who knows there's more out there for you, who knows that you're here to make a difference, then the science that sits inside of this book is going to significantly enhance your chances of doing just that.
Spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars joining every fucking business group, every men's group, trying to find something this organized, this functional, with guys this quality are going to open up and share, with this level of teaching and depth, and in one format that fucking anybody could follow. I found it here.
Package I've been waiting for. I'm gonna walk to my desk here and unpack them. Warrior book. It looks very, very nice.
Okay, so we have brought this conversation around. I'm gonna bring it home here in the last little bit of our show. We start off with this idea that porn itself and power and production, somehow they kind of all intertwine. And that one of the sellout propositions for men is to go to porn in search for power. And that pornography becomes a way to escape, it becomes a way to suppress, it becomes a way to release. And I'm not even saying that I'll never look at porn again. I will. I'm certain of it. I'm not saying that right now it doesn't have power over me like it used to, because I started to see the truth. We said the production itself was actually affected by a man who was heavily consumptive in porn. To a single man who doesn't give a shit about a wife or kids because he doesn't have any, it's a totally different story. To a married man who's trying to figure out how to keep a marriage together, a family together while building a business, this was a big deal because the temptations and the cravings were going to rise. So we said the step one in this was to live by the code. There was a be real, get raw, stay relevant with the ruthless commitment to big-ass results today. Step two was to start creating with the core, which was to focus on body, being, balance, and then business, to allow my body, my being, and my balance to support my business desires. The third solution comes down to what I call the keys, and this is where we are truly talking to our businessmen. The keys come down to the following. The keys, first one is to understand marketing. See, marketing is the conversation of communicating a message. It's not a message only to the way we build business. It's not about just getting leads for our business. Marketing is something you're doing every single day. The most intense marketing I have ever done in my life has been on myself. It's been the ability to market from one side of me to a new side of me. It's the ability to come over to the me that is here, who is currently believing that porn is a good source of power,
to a man over here who realizes that meditation is actually better than masturbation. Over here, I'm like, hey, little masturbation goes a long way. Over here, I'm like, know what? I actually want to go to meditation because I feel more clear. That is marketing. It's not just the skill of communicating to a lead or a prospect to bring you business. It's a skill to convert yourself. Businessmen get this in business, but they don't see it inside their own minds about themselves. They also don't see that in order to take your marriage, which was me over here feeling rejected, disconnected, unable to actually have straight conversation with my wife about sex and about my feelings in that place, to be able to take that relationship where I was begging for hand jobs, to a man whose wife desires him, craves him, sits by me, sits on me, talks to me, communicates, and my wife's love language is not even touch. Our relationship now is on fire, but it started over here, begging for hand jobs, refusing to be part of the conversation, wanting to quit. Marketing is what changed it. Marketing is what changed my family. Marketing is what changes the world around me. But most of us have never seen nor considered that the key to changing our life was to become masterful at the conversation of commuting messages through marketing. Second, selling. Once you introduce an idea, you're going to have to close. Most people are not direct. Most men are too indirect. Most men don't come into a conversation with their wife on power. They go into a business meeting and they're like, bam! But when it comes to being with people they love, they play hesitant, on their heels, they play back, they're scared, they're nervous, they don't want to fuck it up. And you're like, dude, you're going to have to fuck some shit up. You're going to have to live in a land of commitments, yes or no. You're going to have to make some decisions where maybe is not an option. If you do not know how to close, if you are not a salesperson, people say, well, I'm not a salesman. Bullshit. Every human being that walks the planet is a closer. You are closing your children to eat their sandwiches. Eat your sandwich. It is lunchtime. I don't want to eat my sandwich. Eat your sandwich. I don't want to do it. We come back to marketing, repositioning the message again so that our kids will what? Close and eat the sandwich. It's the same conversation that you're having with your wife. You come rolling in, marketing begins. She's on the couch, all up in the Instagram. Nah. You're like, listen, I'd really love to sexually connect with her tonight. I better start putting on the marketing moves. The marketing moves, son. Not the, hey, would you like to have sex move, which is like the request out of nowhere. It's the, hey, I just got home. Just so you know, I'm ready to have sex right now. She's like, I appreciate that you're being real with me right now. I appreciate that you're even being raw, and I still don't give a shit. Which means I'm going to have to actually have skills as a marketer. Skills as a man to communicate and then to what? Close. Close. See, I started to see that my ability to market to my wife and to myself and to close my wife and myself was way harder than closing in business. But it was the same skill set. It was the same skill set. It wasn't some mystery. But when was the last time you were told that you should study marketing and sales in order to have a better marriage? Oh, shit. Wait a second. You mean instead of looking and going to my favorite channel on Pornhub with some random 23-year-old who you've now fallen in love with in your fucking mind, instead of going to porn, what if you actually studied persuasion? What if your mind became fascinated by the idea of influencing yourself and your wife and your family? What if that influence spread to the conversation of actual systems? Systems to help you stay in power. Systems to help you stay focused. Systems to help you build business that matters. Systems to help you have a family that works. Systems to build a life that would work for you. See, Warrior stands for this. People are like, well, what is Warrior about? At the end of the day, we're producers. This isn't some feel-good training. Wake Up Warrior is not some feel-good program. It's not some personal development training. I'm not a fucking life coach. I'm a businessman who realized that the fastest path to putting my business on track and the fastest path to building financial empires was to get the rest of my life fucking on fire. That porn did matter when I went to porn because it was a cop-out from actually doing the work. And every time I did it, even if I was consciously going to it, I was choosing to lose power. And as I lived by the code, and I got direct with my wife, and I stood with the core, and I created with body, being, balance, and business. And I lived with these keys, which is I spent every day mastering marketing and sales, and ultimately systems for living. This ultimately gave me the ability to do something I had never been able to do, something my wife had been preaching to me to do for years. Please, will you just lead this family? Will you just lead this family? It's no different than the executives inside your business or the board of directors saying, will you lead? You're the CEO of this place. Will you lead? You are the visionary of this place. Will you lead? And you go home and your wife is saying, be the man. Will you just lead? And you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, God damn it. I just want to lead. But you're not going to lead anybody. You're not going to lead anybody if you can't lead yourself. That's a hard truth. That's a hard truth. No one will follow a man who can't lead himself. So this is why I do this show. It's why we've published the books we publish. It's why we do Warrior Week. It's why we do Warrior X. It's why we built the Warrior Book Brotherhood. It's why we have done everything we possibly can to help your brother. And so you might be one of those guys sitting on the sideline, you're looking at this and you're like, dude, who is this lunatic? This is the first time I'm on this guy. He must be fucking out of his mind. I get it. Those are all natural feelings. If I was me sitting watching this a few years back when I was begging for hand jobs, I would have thought I was a fucking lunatic too. And yet there was a piece inside that message, the piece that you feel, something inside of you that's real. That says, man, this might be the deal. For my businessmen out there, there is a gateway. And the gateway is Warrior Week. And I'm going to let you watch this clip one more time. And I'm going to come back and wrap this show up. Warrior Week is no joke. Warrior Week is a crucible for 20 men every month. A place where I don't wear my suit. A place where there are no cameras producing a show. It's just real lives, real men doing real work deep in the night to find the light. Gentlemen, we live by code here. That code itself is light. That code itself is life. If you violate the code, you die. If you violate the code, you fucking die. The code is simple. You can boil it down to one principle. Stop fucking lying. Stop lying to yourself about where you are. Stop lying to yourself about what you want. Stop lying to yourself about where you want to go. It is a double-edged sword. Both the lies of denying your desire for a life that you truly want. And number two, lying about where you are. Right now, you are wet. You are laying in a beach in a strange place that you do not know because you were transported here with a hood on. No one knows where you are. Your wife and children do not know where you are. You don't even fucking know where you are. You can do nothing about those circumstances. The only way you can help them is to help yourself. If the king doesn't rise, the kingdom dies. If the king doesn't rise, the kingdom dies. The minute those men on your unit decide to actually show me that they give a fuck Not just in words. Oh, Garrett, I want to have it all. Garrett, I'm going to tell the truth. Garrett, I'm going to live by the code. Garrett, I want to live for my wife, my children, and my legacy. I want to have it all. Bullshit. Shut your fucking mouth and show me. Men don't trust me because of how I talk. They trust me because of how I fucking walk. And I've never asked a man here to do anything I have not done. Huddle up and look at each other. Huddle up and look at each other. Better. Better.
So in 2012, we birthed the Wake Up Warrior movement. And it was the very first time that I started taking these ideologies, these thought processes, this belief system that is Wake Up Warrior, I started taking it to the marketplace. Prior to that, for roughly 3 years, I had been figuring out the game in my journals. I was literally every day figuring out, started out as what was called my producer power hour, and then it continued to evolve, and it became more than just a science for how to deal with power in the morning. It became ultimately a belief system. So when people ask me, well, what is Wake Up Warrior and what is the Warrior's Way? It is a belief system. It's not a religion. It's not an organization that requires X, Y, Z. It is literally a belief system. The brotherhood is a bond around a belief system. That belief system then utilizes Wake Up Warrior to allow men to experience that belief system at depth. At the depth they're ready for it. Some of you here sitting in this are watching, and that is the depth at which you are currently ready to receive this belief system. It's the initial stages. It's the water on the dark desert in which your life lives. And that water is beginning to spring about a hope and a possibility for something new. And that is it. It is overwhelming at that level. And in 2012, when I first started sharing it, there were a few who were ready. There were some, most were just like, this guy's a fucking maniac. There wasn't the apps and the books and the software and the shuttles and the buses and the training facilities and Laguna Beach, California, and there wasn't the TV show and the crews and the teams and the entire empire that has become Warrior. This didn't exist. There was me sharing what was in my journal, truths that were true to me, the raw versions of the belief system that I had proven in my own life for 3 years, turning my marriage around, my businesses around, my body around, and my spirituality around. How I have been able to do that at the same time while fucking 10xing my businesses. People look at where I'm at now, but they don't understand it. It began with the basics, and that might be you. Then we started to realize in 2012 there were multiple different types of men that would come here. And that some of the men, that drop was not enough. It wasn't enough just to listen to a podcast of Warrior on Fire. It wasn't enough just to watch this show on Facebook and to watch this live stream. That wasn't enough. There was another level. There was a man who said, I am taking of this water, this belief system, and it is giving me life. I'm feeling hope. I'm feeling power. I want more. And inside of that, we built challenges. We built Warrior Week. We built Warrior X. We built conventions. And hundreds of men from all over the country and all over the globe began to travel in for experiences. We began to build our own networks powered by Facebook, but not on Facebook, with hundreds and hundreds of men connecting every single day with thousands and thousands of comments every day in a network that people don't even know exists. Where men could what? Get what they needed at a certain level. And so for 4+ years, we have been running this game. And in those 4+ years, I have never spoken to what I'm about to share with you. I have been requested for 2.5 years. And it's a conversation I like to call the 4 Kings. These chairs behind me symbolize the 4 Kings. 4 seats, 4 individuals who have said, I have drunk of this water, this belief system, it resonates with me. And maybe I have gone to Warrior Week, maybe I have not. Maybe I've gone to Warrior X, maybe I have not. Maybe I have consumed of the Warrior book and that brotherhood, or maybe I have not. But nonetheless, there is a fire of desire inside my soul. When I hear you share, the message that comes through you connects with me. But Garrett, I'm ready I'm ready for more, Garrett. I'm ready to go all the way. Garrett, I don't want to take 10 years to get there. Garrett, I don't want to drink from a thimble every Monday. Garrett, I don't want to take a shot glass of the belief system. Garrett, I want to lock myself up to the fire hose and I want to go on a journey. I want to be reborn inside of who I am. I want to die to the man I was and become the man I can be. This is a conversation for businessmen. The Four Kings is not a conversation for every man. It's a conversation for the businessmen. And it's not a conversation for all businessmen. It's a conversation for the businessmen that are up to such big shit that one fuck up along the way loses tons of jobs. It affects hundreds of people's lives. The pressure, like the message I got this morning from one of these kings. So I run 8 businesses. 6 are okay. 2 are ridiculously profitable. My marriage is disconnected, man. On the rise to building this shit, like we just drifted. I love my kids, but I don't know how to actually connect the way I want to. And Garrett, truthfully, everybody I'm around right now just bullshits me. Brother, I see you. For the first time in 4 years, I'm releasing an experience that is not about events. It's not about masterminds. It's not about brotherhood. It's about you and me. Toe to toe. Customized. Structured. Free-flowing. To your outcomes. Guided with me. I do not have all your answers. What I have is the courage that you know you need. The courage to not go alone, but you move so fucking fast, you don't have time to sit around and wait for another group of men to support you. You're like, Garrett, I need to fucking go now. You're like me. I find out who's at the top of the mountain, and I say, I want to work with that guy. So here's what I want you to do. If you're that guy and you believe out of the 500 applications a month we have for Warrior Week, out of the literal thousands, over 40,000 men sitting on lists waiting to get into Warrior Book, out of all of those individuals that you know you're to be in one of these seats for the rest of 2017, sitting with me live in Laguna, virtually every week, and on demand in a way that I have never done with another man. If you're ready to collapse 10 years into 10 months, what I want you to do next to find out more about the Four Kings is the messages here on the Facebook fan page, the page you are on with this video. Either post a message below this and or send us a private message on the fan page and say, I'm one of the kings. And we're going to release a specific short movie to you. If you're fucking around, don't be that guy. We've created plenty of stuff for those, regardless of where they're at in the game. If you know you're a player and you know you're a king that needs to rise quickly, I invite you to join me in a conversation we call the Four Kings.
When you walk in a room and you have nothing to hide, you're the single most motherfucking power guy in that room.
Okay. All right. Oh, got a little button out there. Button that up for you. So I'm going to do a little bit of make some. This is the time to kind of answer some questions. If you got some questions on the topic we have for today, I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to start kind of up here at the top with some of the comments that we had come down and just address them. Some ideas, but if you got questions on this topic, there's a couple things that came up. Never question, Dustin said, I never questioned my porn addiction until I watched you back in January of 2014. So one of the things I want you to understand is that I don't really think, like porn, if you're going to porn, it's not, let me put it this way, I'm not promising you I'll never go to porn again. I'm just not. I know today I'm not going to go to porn, but I'm not promising you I'll never go to porn again. I'm sure there is a time I will go to porn again, and I will masturbate again, and sometimes I will masturbate and not go to porn. Like there are times that I have used that as an outlet to not destroy the progress I've made in my marriage because I'm in such intense, I just need to fuck energy. Right? You know what I'm talking about. Like you get it. When the pressure rises, it's tough. Right? So the addiction side, people want to look at this as like an addiction. Like I'm looking at this more like a moderation game, which is like, listen, man, if you need to go to it, it's like Tylenol. You don't fucking take Tylenol. If you're taking Tylenol every day, you got a problem. If you're taking Tylenol once every couple of weeks because you got a headache, it's a totally different story. You know, maybe that's a conversation to look at for you. Each guy is going to be different. Each relationship is going to be different. Each situation is going to be different. Let's come down to, let's see. Greg said, since being part of Warrior Book Brotherhood, my need to watch porn has disappeared. Key word in there that Greg put, my need. Like I had gotten to a place that I needed to look at porn. Like it was a need. Like it was almost like this desperate need. Like I need to have this shit. Like this deep need. Versus, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to it. I want to go to it for a moment. I'm going to go to it. When it's a need, it controls you. When you consciously go into it, you're like, hey, listen, just so you know, like it's Saturday, I'm going into the porn thing. I'm going to hit it for 2 minutes and I'm going to come out. Like I'm not even telling you not to do that. What I'm saying inside of this is to understand that if you're going to this place, just like taking Tylenol every day, it might not give you the power that you're looking for. But I'm definitely not shaming you for looking at porn. And I'm not telling you to ever not look at it again. Like the facts are you're surrounded by it all day long. Like unlike any time in society's history, men are being bombarded with pornographic images and temptations and triggers from Facebook to Instagram to YouTube. Shit, dude. It's like you could put any kind of like damn near nakedness everywhere. And then we're telling men not to be worried about it, not be triggered by it. Unless you live in a bubble or a plastic, Tupperware with a hardcore lid on it in the middle of Omaha, Nebraska, in the middle of a cornfield by yourself in that box, like you're going to face this shit. So maybe you just need to create your plan, your strategy, your way. I just will tell you this. The looking at porn frequently fucks with your head. It fucks with the way you see women. It fucks with the way you see your wife. It fucks with the way you see people. It just does. And I'm not even giving you the scientific side of it. They've done a ton of research on this shit. It is not healthy. Large amounts of porn is not healthy. Just like large amounts of Tylenol or alcohol is not healthy. Large amounts of green smoothie, too much, is not healthy. Large amounts of working out is not healthy. There's this weird thing, it's called, if you do too much of a thing, it actually becomes unhealthy. Isn't that weird? Let's continue down a couple little sides in this. Let's see here. Moderation is key, but I feel like there is power in not always asking for it with my wife. Let them sometimes come to you. Let them initiate. Of course. And some of you, Dave, are married to women who will initiate. Some of you are married to women who would never initiate. Like, this is a hard truth. Like, my wife was not an initiator. If my wife initiates, it's about every 14 days. That was until I got real with her. And I shared with her where my mind went. By 14 days, if I haven't had sex in 14 days. Listen, when you're a single guy, you know you can go out and you could go hunt. When you're a married guy, you got one option. Which means if you're like 14 days, you're like, in my mind, at 14 days, I'm in the fuck you zone. When I go to the fuck you zone at 14 days, like, I start to have crazy thoughts. Like, not want to be with my wife anymore, like all kinds of stuff. And I had to share this with my wife. Because you're right, Dave. It's not always good to be the guy that goes straight at your wife, always asking, no question about it. But on the flip side, some of you guys are not in the situation where you are married to a highly sexually driven woman. Some of you are. Some of you, it's the opposite. Your wife wants more sex than you do. And you go to the porn so you can avoid her, which is a crazy thing too. Let's keep coming down here. Danny says, I enjoy how you explain things in a way I can understand. Being real with my feelings is the most difficult thing to do, but change my life sharing what I feel
Very difficult at first, but getting better. Good for you, Danny. I love it, buddy. Yes, Danny said, difficult to share feelings with others and myself. Takes work and be honest with my feelings. Rick said, I found a fellowship group in Cincinnati that allows the sharing in confidence and confidentiality, the base for the Catholic Men's Fellowship. This sprung up in Cincinnati in 1980. Beautiful, Rick. I'm happy for you. There are some groups, man. There's some great groups, men's groups, some great men's groups that will get real in those groups where a man can be safe and share, but our experience is just not enough. It's just not enough. Most groups are not that way. And it's also, there's not a whole lot of guidance on how to be that way. And also one of the problems I've found inside of men's groups that are associated with churches is the fact that there is such a tendency for men to lean so heavily on quoting scriptures versus actually sharing real experience. It's like, well, in the Bible it says X. I'm like, I appreciate that a dead man wrote some shit down that we think is important and we think gives value, which it does. But at the end of the day, what I'm really interested in is what you're feeling, not what some dude felt 2,000 years ago that was written down, translated, prescribed, edited, altered, and now we have it. I'm not saying that it's not powerful, and I'm not saying it can't help, but most men's groups I've been to that are church-oriented, unfortunately, there just is not enough real truth. You're not going to get a motherfucker dropped in there, even though most of the guys in that room want to drop a motherfucker. This is why Warrior Week, Warrior X, the Four Kings, Warrior Book exists so men can have a chance to be real. For some men, that just looks different. And some men, it's great. They got, going to a church group works out fantastic. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying it might not be enough. Let's go with two more comments. Let's see. Levi said, a sexy female body is seductive to the eyes and even more to the mind. It's something deeply embedded, but I have to agree with you in moderation. Listen, if you're sitting around thinking about pussy all day long, like the hard part is like you actually are very unproductive. So a lot of times why men will go there to Levi's because they don't have anything to do. It's super easy to go to porn when you're bored. Something to do. It's like eating. So I have friends who smoke weed because they're bored. It's easy to go to porn if you're bored too. So how do you create something different than that? Well, you have purpose in life. You have something that actually calls you to look and focus on something different than just sex every day. When you don't have that going on, my bored moments are the tough ones. When I got something going on, I don't even think about it. Julian, still riding with Garrett. No one in the game is hitting these issues like this. No one. One day I will do Warrior Week. For now, grateful to have these sessions to watch. Much continued success, brother. Kingdom work. Julian, you've been here riding for a long ass time. Just get your ass in Warrior Book. Dude, it's $1,000. Get your ass in Warrior Book. For all you guys who are still watching this, like if you were not in the Warrior Book, like I'm like going, dude, listen, this is like a sample of the shit that goes on in Warrior Book. You need to get your ass over to warriorbook.com and get on the list for the beginning. It's a $1,000 investment. My God, it's like paying for my son's college in Canada. Canada supplements everybody's education in Canada. He lives in Canada. He goes to school and he's going to school in Canada. I'm like $7,500 for tuition for the whole year. I live in Southern California. It's like $35,000 a year for school. Like Warrior Book is like supplemented university in Canada. Like there's like for $1,000 nothing you could fucking invest in. Nothing that will give you more connection in this conversation and being part of Warrior Book. Nothing. So get your ass on over to warriorbook.com, man. Get in the game. Cody, literally just stumbled onto this. Reading your website right now. I'm not married yet, but this is pretty badass. You guys rule. Cody, you know what I think is interesting? I had a bunch of young guys come in that weren't married either who asked me in their early 20s. Like, Gary, you know why I like this? I was like, why is this? He's like, because we kind of don't want to fuck it up like all these old guys. I have 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds living the Warriors way. And we ask them, we're like, why are you doing this? These are the sons of a lot of our men. Like, why are you doing this? And they're like, listen, I look at the pain my dad went through. I look at my parents almost getting divorced. Like, I want to figure out how to do this right out of the gate. Now, I realize I'm going to mess some things up. I want to do it right. Cody, Warrior Book. I'm not kidding you. Warrior Book was not built for just businessmen. It wasn't built for just married men. It was built for any man. This right here is a taste. Get over to warriorbook.com and get yourself in the game with us. Matthew Peterson, this is the most real conversation I've been involved with in literally years. Well, you're welcome. And this is a taste. I'm starting to sound like a parrot. In the Warrior Book Brotherhood, guess what we do every day? We have the same fucking conversation. It's happening right now, live. With the last 100 men that just came in, Warrior Book 400, maybe part of Warrior Book 500, warriorbook.com. Anders, I was asking for something like this. Thanks, brother. I'm into it. I'm hooked. Good. Keep coming back with us. We're done. The show was great. Loved it. You guys good? Your arms hurting holding that camera? No? It's because you have such
fit arms. Gentlemen, this brings a wrap to Wake Up Warrior TV, episode number 6. We're getting more legit every single week. Shit. By the fall of 2017, we're going to be giving Fox, CNN, ESPN, and just about anybody else ends with an N somewhere network a run for the money as the Warrior Network comes to show that we're not here just to fucking play. We came here to fucking take over.
When you walk in a room and you have nothing to hide, you're the single most motherfucking power guy in that room.